Hey, how are you? Hope you are doing well and that you've been able to connect with these devotionals throughout this week. Today is Thursday and we're almost to the end of the week, and we have been talking about the power of conversation. Just this 1 hour conversation that Justin Earley calls us to make and have on a weekly basis with our friends. Yeah, I know that my attire today is a little different than you're probably used to be seeing, and that's because today I had the blessing to journey with a family and by officiating a funeral for their beloved mother. Such a sweet, sweet family. Nothing but wonderful things were said about the woman who has been promoted to heaven. This family was a family that was connected to YC, was part of helping us build our half dome, which is where we do our worship and our children's ministry. Did some landscaping stuff for us in the past. The woman who actually is in heaven got promoted to heaven on February 22nd. She is actually responsible for the costumes that would be worn during YC's Valentine's dinner that they would do way back in the past. So this wonderful woman and has been connected to YC in some form or fashion in one way or another, and it was just a blessing to journey with this family. I would say that as much as there was amazing things being said and amazing emotions that were being shared in the room, there was a sentiment that is often shared with me by people as I'm connecting with them one-on-one at funerals. And I'll generally ask questions like, oh, hey, who are you? And I'll ask, how they're related to the deceased. I'll ask if they're part of the family intimately, or if they were a friend of the family. And I'll ask maybe how they knew each other. I'll ask if they were close. I'll just ask questions, mining conversation, right? And trying to get to know people. And one thing that I almost always hear is, man, I wish I would have reached out more often. Man, I wish I would have called. I wish I would have known that they were sick. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have come over. I wish I would have visited. I wish we didn't fall apart in terms of distance and just let time slip by. It always comes back to time. I wish I had more time. I wish I could have one more conversation. I wish we could have cleared the air, or I wish. Here's the thing. I know that there may be some people in your life that you have not stayed in contact with because it's probably healthier for you to create distance. And I want to respect that. And I want to acknowledge that. I want to be one of the pastors that tell you that your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health is important, and if those people exist in your life, I am by no means telling you that you are responsible for engaging in conversations and relationships with them. However, I do know that there are people that because of time, we've just quit communicating with. And whether because a lot of time has gone by and perhaps the significance of the conversations or the significance of that person's presence has begun to decrease over time, or in the manner in which we use our time. Maybe we've gotten so busy that we've not made time for relationships in our life. I am speaking specifically into the ones that we should be in, the relationships we should have, the conversations we should be having. Because like the sentiment I share I hear whenever I'm wearing this suit, shirt, and tie, is that time is not on our side when it comes to relationships that we've allowed to grow estranged. Scripture says in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, that the world is actually in the habit of giving up on meeting with each other. That it is actually a worldly habit to allow ourselves to move into isolation, to allow ourselves to get too busy for people, to allow ourselves and rob ourselves of the time that we should invest into the lives of other people. It says in Hebrews chapter 10 that we should spur one another on towards love and good deeds. And when it says, let us consider, it's not saying consider as like, hey, babe, would you consider maybe going on vacation over the summer, that's not like maybe just think about it kind of consideration. The Greek use of that word consider is that we would actually move our minds, we would guide it and direct our minds in the direction of love and good deeds towards our brother. In other words, it's not a suggestion, it's an imperative. It is telling us, and in essence, it is commanding us to move our minds and our attitudes towards love and good deeds, spurring one another on. So with that, when I talk with people who share their heart and their woundedness about, wow, I wish I had time, while we can't get the time back, what we can do is redeem the current time we have by ensuring that we are having the conversations with the people in our lives that God placed there. So with that, consider, focus, put your mind towards how you can spur one another, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, and anything and everything in between. Spur them on towards love and good deeds, and not be like the world that is in the habit of giving up on meeting with each other, but instead regularly staying in communication and in conversation with the people that God's placed in your life. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.